All right, welcome to Module 5. We are just about at the halfway point in this class, and I have to admit, up to this point, I've kind of been beating around the bush a little bit. I've talked a lot about the context of climate change. I've talked a lot about some of the seasonality of climate change. I've talked about the heat and energy budget. But now we're finally going to get into really what most people are here for, most people are curious about, and that is, how have we screwed this up? We're really going to be focusing in this particular module on the elephant in the room, and that is, behind me, carbon dioxide. So how is it that we have totally screwed up our carbon dioxide system here on Earth? And what are the different components of that system? And how is it that we have screwed it up so much? And then what are some other things that we've done to sort of mess with Earth's climate system? So that's really where we're going with today. All right. So that being said, let's begin by actually first talking about what the carbon cycle actually is. Now, just to set the stage, I'm sure many of you at some point in your life have heard about the water cycle. Evaporation of water, condensation of the clouds, those clouds move on shore, rain back out, drain their way back down to the ocean, wash, rinse, and repeat. And so when you hear the term carbon cycle, you're probably thinking like, water cycle? I've heard about that. What's this carbon cycle thing? Well, believe it or not, it's very much the same concept. It's the same idea of, instead of now talking about how water circulates through the Earth system, how it circulates through the atmosphere, through the ground, through the surface of the Earth, through life, and so on, now we're going to be talking about how carbon specifically does the same thing. So when talking about the carbon cycle, we're actually talking about ways that carbon, and I'll oftentimes use carbon dioxide as well, because that's kind of our big culprit of climate change, how carbon is added, removed, and stored in different components of the Earth system. And there are many different players in the carbon cycle, just like there are many different players in the water cycle. The sun causing evaporation, the atmosphere holding onto clouds, the clouds raining out onto land. Well, believe it or not, the same is true for the carbon cycle. There are many different components of Earth's system that play a role in the carbon cycle. Now, one of the most important things is, unlike the water cycle, where we usually don't break it up into a bunch of different components, there are two main legs of the carbon cycle. There's the short-term leg that's made up of short-term processes like me breathing in oxygen and breathing out carbon dioxide, versus the long-term leg, which are processes that exchange carbon over millions of years. And so really, to understand how we as humans have messed up with the carbon cycle, we're really going to have to investigate both of these. So in order to do that, strap in your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Not really, but it's a lot of interesting stuff that we're going to be diving into in this module. So hopefully you'll join me.